welcome to everyone here today. I'm Maddie and I'm part of the graduate marketing and recruitment team here at Department of Defence. We're here today to just quickly talk about some of the opportunities we have for our graduates and entry-level programs, and also run through or hear from, some of our former grads who've been through this process, understand what you're experiencing right now, and to tell you a little bit more about their experiences and how they got from where you're sitting to where they're sitting now at the end of their program. So we have Euan, who's on the camera there. We also have Ash, and we have Natasha, who's sitting beside me as well. I guess to dive in, letting you know straight up that our applications are open now and are closing soon. So definitely, if you're interested in working at the Department of Defence, I would encourage you to put in an application soon. Our Defence Graduate Program has 4 primary pathways. There's the technical pathway, which is for more, technical-minded grads, engineers, commercial, and also our legal grads as well will sit under there. It's an 18-month learning and development program where you'll have the opportunity to access pretty unique experiences. Some of our grads have had the opportunities to fly on the Prime Minister's plane, go on sea trials with the Navy, and then also some of the Army exercises as well up in Cairns, which is really cool. As I said, 18-month program, open to a lot of degree disciplines within that engineering, commercial, business, legal space. We also have the research and innovation pathway. It's a 12-month learning and development program for those who may be more research or academic focused and want access to or take part in creating the newest and innovative technologies that our Defence Force will use in their mission to defend Australia and its national interests. It's definitely recommended for those who are a little bit more research inclined and want to look at connecting themselves with leading academics across the world and also within Australia as well. In that program, there's opportunities to start not only in Canberra, but across Australia in Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, and also Brisbane. Finally, we have the policy and corporate pathway and the intelligence pathway. Both are 12-month learning and development programs, primarily based here in Canberra, and for pretty much open to all degree disciplines, I would say, for your international relations all the way to your marine biologists. You'll probably find your fit here at Defence. We're one of Australia's largest civilian employers with over 17,000 civilian workforce. And a lot of the work that we do in the policy, corporate and intelligence pathways is looking at how we can best support our serving ADF here in Australia and also overseas as well. As I said, applications are open now, so we'd really encourage you to have a look at our website and have a look at the opportunities and pathways made available to you. But I'm going to stop talking because what you really want to hear is from our graduates who've been through what you're going through. So I'll hand over first to Euan Moyle to introduce himself and tell you a little bit more about his experience on the 2021 grad program.
Thank you so much, Maddie. Hi, everyone. My name is Euan. I was a graduate last year in 2021, part of the policy stream. Originally, I'm from Sydney. I moved down here to Canberra. I studied at the University of Sydney, a degree in international relations. So for me, international relations and foreign policy is something that I really love and that I'm really passionate about. And for me, joining Defence was my first choice. I always wanted to join Defence. I've always been fascinated by the space, and I think I've made a really, really good choice. So for me, my graduate experience was a little bit unique. I took a lot of different routes through my time as a graduate, which meant that I didn't just stick to my passions. I went and explored the department as a whole. And defense is a huge, huge department, as Maddie was saying. So many different people work at defense, both ADF and civilians, and there are so many different pathways that you can take. So I started off in international policy. I worked on one of the Pacific desks and was able to help out engaging with some of our people overseas and helping to make sure that our relationship, our defense relationship, was the best that it could be. Then I moved into defense industry, and I worked with a group called the Defense Innovation Hub. And I'm sure Tash, who's going to be speaking later, can also talk about her time at the Defense Innovation Hub. It's a really, really interesting space where you're handling hundreds of millions of dollars worth of investment in some of the coolest cutting edge capabilities that defense is looking at procuring and looking at investing in. And to finish my grad program, I worked in the capability space in naval shipbuilding, which I can't really go into too much detail, but it was a really, really interesting time. And it was really interesting to see and engage with a lot of the ADF people and the APS people to make sure that we're buying the right equipment, that we're securing the right things for our defense force. And to end up, I've ended up in strategic policy, which means that I get to write some really cool policy documents that help to guide the entire department and make sure that we're prioritizing the right things. For me, I think that was the real reason why I joined defense, is just how huge it is and how many different pathways you can take. No matter what degree you've done, no matter what experiences you've had, you can always chart a really, really interesting path. And I know a number of our graduates have gone down really, really interesting and niche pathways in capability and policy and intelligence. There are so many different things that you can choose from. And you have a great graduate team that helps to back you up and to make sure that you are settled in, to make sure that you're getting the right things out of your graduate experience. So for me, I really enjoy defense. I love defense. I love what I'm doing. And I think that's reflective of just how great the program is. So yeah, if there's any questions, more than happy to answer.
Amazing. Thanks, Euan. Ash, will lead on to you. You completed the grad program a few years ago from memory. If you'd like to give everyone a bit of a snapshot of your experience.
Thanks so much, you guys. So hi, everyone. I'm Ash. I'm from the Australian Signals Directorate. And the way that this kind of works is that ASD falls under the umbrella of like the defense portfolio. So when you're going through and applying for defense, there will be an option for you to apply for the intelligence pathways. And under that, I'm pretty sure that ASD, even though we're a separate statutory agency, we would fall under that. So essentially, I'm from Canberra. I've been here my whole life. I love it. It's great. And I studied international relations, or like an international relations major in arts at ANU. And at the same time, I was completing my law degree. I kind of had a bit of a funny road to the grad program. I realized that I wasn't great at law. So I was like, you know what, I'll just use my arts degree to try and apply for grad programs. And I'm so glad that it led me to the ASD grad program. So I started in 2019. And just keeping in the back of my mind that I still had law to complete. So I was placed in a team called Compliance and Oversight. And there's a massive crossover in terms of reading legislation and applying the law. So my team of compliance has been able to help me both study for and pay for the completion of the rest of my law degree. So I'll come back to that a bit later as to how great ASD and defence can be in terms of people who want to continue further study or complete their ongoing study. So throughout my grad year back in 2019, I worked in 3 different areas. We have 3 rotations essentially of 4 months each during that 12-month program. I started in compliance, then I went and did a bit of time in counterterrorism, which was extremely interesting. And then I went to a partner agency for my final rotation. The really great thing about the grad program with ASD is that you do get to find out how the agency works all together, how we fit in with our partner agencies. And, you get to pump out some really interesting work. So with the partner agency, I was able to write products that would have been read by the Prime Minister. And with compliance and counterterrorism, we got to really see the nitty-gritty of the agency. So there's a lot of trust that's placed in grads, in new starters at ASD. So you do kind of hit the ground running. You're supported the entire way through. And I would say that the culture at ASD is extremely welcoming and inclusive. You can find like neurodiversity networks. You can find networks for Indigenous pathways. So there's kind of something for everyone at ASD. And when people think about ASD, they might think, what is this agency? But they might also think that you need to come in with a STEM background. I think I'm proof, and there's so many of my other grad friends, we're proof that you can come in with any background. And I will just quickly plug that you might have seen in the news, but there's something called Red Spice, which is a massive kind of funding program into ASD. So over the next 10 years, we're going to try and I think we're including up to 1,900 extra jobs. So there's definitely space for everyone. Please apply. Yeah, thanks for having me on, and happy to answer questions.
Thanks, Ash. And finally, we'll hear from Natasha.
Great, cool. Thanks very much, Maddie. I'm obviously here in the room, sitting in Canberra. We have a couple of different offices within the defence kind of portfolio based in Canberra. So it's something that's really great that we can kind of move around and come out to the various offices and do things like this. So hi, everyone. My name's Tash. I was a 2021 policy and corporate stream graduate. Like Euan, I came from an international relations and diplomacy background. And what really drew me to defence was the prospect of working on some really challenging, meaningful and diverse work in the national security space. So I was very fortunate to have been offered a place on the program and to have completed 3 what I thought were really exciting and different rotations throughout my time, 12 months on the program. So similarly, again, to Euan, I promise we are not entirely the same in everything we've done, but I started off in international policy division working on the US alliance, which was absolutely fantastic. It was an opportunity to really see at a very high level the intricacies of working on a kind of complex and really high profile bilateral relationship. And that was something where I felt I could use my international relations and diplomacy skills quite well. That allowed me to work on really fun and interesting initiatives, such as the commemoration of the 70th anniversary of ANZUS, which really, I think, brought in some creative thinking and really drew my mind to some areas of policy that I might not ordinarily consider. So I think that's something that was a real benefit to me. I then went on to work in an area called gender, peace and security, which was something of a bit of a passion for me. It was an area that I was really interested in going into, and it allowed me to work alongside colleagues across multiple different agencies. And that was a really great experience too, and something that I would definitely recommend anywhere that you go, whether it be defence or somewhere else, is try and seek out opportunities where you can kind of connect with your cross-agency counterparts. So working there, I was able to assist in Defence's implementation of the National Action Plan on Women, Peace and Security, progressing some really important initiatives in the international engagement space, which I really loved. It was a fantastic area to be involved in. And it was an area where I got to work a lot more with our ADF colleagues, ultimately those people who, as Maddie said, are kind of at the forefront of delivering ADF capability. So that was something that was quite unique and something that you won't experience really anywhere else. So defence is wonderful for that. Third rotation, I finished up in the Defence Innovation Hub, which, as Euan said, is a really interesting part of defence. It's an area where we see the best innovators and the most kind of brilliant minds in the Australian defence industry space submitting their proposals and seeking funding from the department to enhance the ADF's capability and to build the Australian defence industry sector. That allowed me to kind of do different work again. I was involved in a number of different areas, from international engagement through to considering big picture kind of policy issues and national strategies on innovation. I've since returned back to International Policy Division since finishing up the program, which I am really loving. It's a fantastic place to be and an area where I do really feel that I get to use the skills that I've kind of honed through the grad program and also through my studies. And I've also had a fantastic opportunity, like Ash said, to be a part of my group's women's network as well, and kind of progress some important initiatives in building our staff capability there. So it's been a really fantastic program to be a part of. I would highly recommend defence as an option to consider in your kind of graduate journey. But I'll hand back over to Maddie now, and I think we might have some time for Q&A. Thanks.
Thanks, Tash, and thanks, Ash and Euan. Lovely that I chose people whose names rhyme. That was really clever of me. So in terms of our application process, as I said, they are open now and they are closing soon. I believe tonight, if I'm being honest with you. Within the application process, there are two parts. The first part is an initial submitting your personal information and some online cognitive testing. And then the second part is a 600-word pitch where you really can draw out your skills and experiences and why you want to work at Defence and why you think that your skills will be a good fit for the organisation as well. That's all we really have for you today. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. And I believe, Sam, I'm not sure if any have come through directly or in the Q&A session.
Let's double check. We had a question from Isaac about the language stream with ASD and whether it can get into that stream via the graduate program, and would that require evidence of different languages spoken? Anyone for Ash?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's a great question, Isaac. I'm just trying to recall my knowledge about this. I'm pretty sure when it comes to you applying for the ASD grad program, you can list the languages that you're familiar with, whether that's at beginner level all the way up to, like experienced. There's not necessarily a specific language stream with the ASD grad program. You can just come in with your language skills, let them know about it, and then they can put you into a particular training program, or they can, I think it's actually a test that they do. And from there, ASD will be able to determine whether or not there's scope for you to come in as a linguist. So yeah, I would recommend just pop that onto your CV, pop it into your application, and that'll take you very far when you get into the application process.
Fantastic. Another question here from an anonymous attendee is there an assessment centre during the recruitment process? Maddie, did you want to take that
sure.
one? Yeah.
So yes, there is an assessment centre. They will be all online, so virtual, and they'll run over, I believe it's May till about early August at this stage. Within that assessment centre, there is a group activity where you'll be paired with 5 other participants who are also in the application process, and then there'll also be an individual interview. So that's really your time to shine and show your experiences and your skills and why they would be of value to the organisation as well.
Another question here about any tips in answering the applicant 600 question, the 600-word question, I believe was mentioned before.
Definitely, a lot of tips. Our main advice would be to really look at the Australian Public Service Commission website and look into the STAR method and make sure that you're really tailoring your answers towards that method. The STAR method is the situation, task, action, and result. So with that, if you're able to really frame your answers following that method, so explaining what situation you're in, what you did in that situation, what the action was as a result of that, and what did you achieve in that. If you're able to answer that 600-word and phrase it in that manner, it really draws out really easily for shortlisters on your best skills and how you match the selection criteria as well. Would also really encourage doing a little bit of research into the work of Defence and just seeing if there are any projects that come to mind and weaving those through your application as well.
Fantastic. Well, I think that's just about time, to be honest. So thank you so much to the team for your time today, for great presentation, really insightful.